Hey, I'm here with Owen Benjamin, comedian, stand-up comic, I think actor as well. Total lunatic.
Yeah, totally.
Before we get the interview, like and subscribe. I forget telling people to do that. I guess I'm supposed to do that. So let's just start off. Something kind of funny about you is I often have a hard time telling when you're being serious or trolling. It's like a fine line. I like that when I'm watching, I don't know if you're being serious or trolling.
Yeah, I don't know sometimes either. Like sometimes I'll be in the middle of a bit and I'm like, is this? Yeah, I don't always know if I'm
That's
serious.
kind of what I thought. That's why I can't tell then. That makes sense.
Because life is so funny that a lot of times the truest stuff is just like comedy time travels. Because what you make fun of becomes real in 10 years because the exaggerated reality. And yeah, I mean, I don't know when I'm serious either half the time.
Yeah, because I'm usually really good at telling people are going in and out of bits. But with you, I'm like, I don't know if this guy is being serious or trolling or a complete lunatic or smart or it's like.
It's so many inside jokes too. Like I was just having this big fight with this pilot named Gary, and I'm just ripping on him like, but he doesn't know it's because of my theme of Tea Time with Gary and Terry about two gay pilots. And so then halfway through, I'm like, wait a minute, nobody knows that this is like an inside joke and I'm doing it in front of like 300,000 people. So then I tried to explain it to Gary and now we're buddies.
Yeah, like right before it started, we were talking about how like Twitter's not real. We get these online beefs sometimes, but like we can drop them like easily as well. There may be a few exceptions people don't like, but for the most part, I can get in a fight with someone on Twitter and be fine with them the next day. It's not the real world. We're just like playing around. This is like just trolling that I do when I'm bored.
Bro, 100%. And it's entertaining. It's like if someone comes at your family or like your ability to make a living or something like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, if someone's like, you want to bury the hatchet? I'm like, yeah, immediately.
Yeah, I'm the same. But I noticed you are always fighting with some of my friends even. They might get mad at me for bringing you on here. But if you guys like, don't bring him on when I said I was bringing you on.
Yeah, people get mad. But they get mad for different reasons. They pretend it's because of like a feud or something, but usually it's not that.
Yeah, why do so many stand-ups not seem to like you?
Because I would do all this stuff that they wouldn't do when it mattered. Like I did the Caitlyn Jenner Woman of the Year, hasn't been a woman for a full year. I did that 4 years before Chappelle, and I got, got millions of views, and then my YouTube got deleted, and I refused to do political correct speech. I refused to wear a mask. I held a bunch of lines, and then when they didn't, I think they felt weird about it. And then, people have publicly said not for me not to tweet certain things or to not do certain jokes, and then 5 years later, everyone's making money on the jokes. Like I got kicked off Patreon for a pound me too joke about hashtag me too, except my joke was, I thought it was the pound symbol. So it's like pound me too. You ladies are thirsty, like all that stuff. Patreon kicks me out, but actual convicted rapists are allowed on Patreon. And it's like,
but yeah, you can't make a joke and you're a comedian.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of times people get, they act like it's because they're offended or I'm a loose cannon. And it's like, I think my existence kind of points out a grift somewhere.
Loose cannon because you won't follow rules. You won't wear a mask. Won't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was in San Francisco and refused to wear a mask. That wasn't easy, but it's just like, dude, I'm just not putting that thing on my face. I'm just not playing along with their stupid rules.
Yeah, I've always respected you. Like I've been a fan of yours for a while because I can just see that you're like, it's about the rules. It's about the honor. Like I can do a total corporate event. Like I used to open for Julio Iglesias. I've done like Mormon corporates. But if someone can say a word that I can't because of their skin color, that's communism. So I'm like, I'm not going to go along with it because they need you to go along with it. Same with like making fun of that, like a certain event in the 40s and all that stuff.
Yeah, you can't. I'm going to have a debate to talk about that. I'm not taking a side on it, but I'm bringing that on. And if that might be interesting. But yeah, no, the word you're not allowed to say, I fully agree. If I'm hanging out with a black guy and he's dropping the word, I'm going to drop it back. And if he's like, you can't say that, it's like, no, fuck you.
Exactly.
Now, I did have a couple weeks ago, I was hanging out with a black nationalist, and then I said the word, and he's just like, oh, I don't use that word. But he didn't get mad at me. And I'm just like, oh, why? And he explained, I don't like how they push it through hip-hop, dehumanize the black culture.
Yeah, he's right.
Like, oh, okay, I won't say the word around you, because it's totally, he didn't get like mad. If he would have lectured me, then I'd probably been like, fuck you, But it's like, he doesn't say it. He doesn't think black people should say it, or
Good
white
for
people.
him.
If you're like, black people can say it, but white people can't, it's like, come on, you're just playing a power game.
Victim consciousness is why I always ran into issues with the Jays, because they're like, no, we're permanent victims. We can do whatever we want permanently. And I'm like, no. It's the same with the word thing. It's like, oh, back to slavery. And I'm like, that doesn't check out logically.
No.
I'm just like, so I'm not going to follow that. But if someone was respectful like that, I was doing streams about hip hop, pushing all this stuff 7 years ago. And people were calling me anti-Semitic. And I'm just stating facts. I'm like, this is owned by this guy. This is owned by this guy. This is what they're pushing. And so, I'm with you 100% on all that.
Yeah, I know a lot of it's you're ahead of the curve. You know, it's
That's
like
what gets me in trouble.
You're doing things a few years early. Now everyone's seeing, and it's like it's obviously not all or the Jays, but there's a group of them that hold a lot of
It's
power.
liability shields.
It's a small group of them. Is the thing.
Exactly.
Like you're part. Right, like a quarter of people are mad at you for that or something.
My dad's mom was Catholic, but we figured out.
Yeah, so obviously you can't be very good anti-Semite, but they level that so you don't ask these questions when you start being like, wait, why is this?
Dude, and you nailed it. It's like I break them up into 3 groups: war Jays, sodomy Jays, and deli Jays.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone knows they're deli Jays that are just cool dudes doing their thing. Yeah. And then the little group that does all kinds of stuff, they hide behind the victim label. And ironically, they're putting the other Jays in front, you know, like that they have to shield all the criticism for like the Fed, just some guy who owns a deli. And so that's why I'm like, I don't go along with it because there's a cruelty to that. And like not letting people in on a joke. That's why I make fun of vets, dudes in wheelchairs. I'm like, there's such cruelty to being like, oh no, you can't handle a joke, like you're too weak, you know?
Yeah, it's more fucked up not to make fun of a guy in a wheelchair.
100%.
It's like you're not showing him the same respect that you're showing other people.
Exactly. Like he's half a man or something.
Yeah, he's not good enough to make fun of. That is, I never thought of that, but that's very like disrespectful. Like, oh, you're in a wheelchair, I can't make fun of you. It's like
black dude. Yeah, black dudes can't hear a word without becoming a child. Like that's
no, it's just childish.
Pathetic, yeah.
But if they're willing to not say it, I can totally respect that. And this guy didn't even ask me not to say it. I could just he doesn't say it, and I don't know what to think black people should say it. It's like, okay, I can. You know, I won't use that word around you because if a black guy's constantly saying it, then they play a power game. It's like, go fuck yourself.
100%. It'd be funny meeting a Jay that just genuinely is like doesn't like any genocide, and it's not his. He's like, yeah, Pol Pot, you know, Ukraine. Like he really does hate all of them. That'd be totally different. But it's always we're the only people that have suffered. So
this is the only one that matters. It's so weird how it's just taught totally different.
100%.
It shows who controls the education system and the history and the media but if you say that, you're an anti-Semite.
Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad owned the company that did all the textbooks for the schools that taught us all this.
And he was Mossad. Yeah, wild. He had one of the biggest media companies and made the textbooks for American students.
Yeah, that's why I homeschool. I'm like, you know, they can all they can really do is offer. You know, it's kind of like I was telling you on the way in here. I really respect your view on factory farming because it's cursed, man. It's sickness, evil, and so that's why I got into raising my own food because I'm like I don't want to be a part of an evil system. So I'm teaching my own kids because I don't want them to be taught by people that you know I think are teaching nonsense.
No, and they're either stupid or a lot of them are stupid and they're teaching nonsense. They're just the higher ups are pushing the nonsense on them, but these teachers just repeat what they're told.
100%.
You know, and back to factory farming. Yeah, I don't want part of it. I mean, I don't eat meat because I don't want part of the evil. But if I had my own farm, maybe I would. But you definitely respect it a lot more, I imagine, when you kill your own animals.
Oh my God, you never would waste food. I mean, we boil the chicken feet, we eat the organs, and it's like the Islamic way of killing animals is like really kind. It's like called halal, right?
I think
halal.
So. Something to that.
And it's there's no stress in it. They have a good life. They lay down like the sheep will literally lie down and show you their neck. And it's just there's a beauty to it. But other than that, it's like evil. Like I got a soft heart when it comes to that stuff. And so, you know, especially when I name them, I got a ton of goats and I named all of them, so I literally can't kill any of them.
Yeah, so now you're stuck
I killed
with them.
none.
Yeah, you're like, well, I guess I have a bunch of goats I can't eat.
I'm like now the World Bank for all these, you know, I have to like provide for them forever. But I do take their testicles.
But no, it shows you that animals do have personalities and the way they're treated, you know, they're basically tortured in these factory farms and people just they pretend like it's not there. I think it's illegal to film inside of them.
You were saying that in that episode I was listening to. That's dude, and it's like people don't want to confront the evil that's done. You know, I love that you point out a lot of the Israeli stuff too, because it's like they don't want to see the evil that's done in their name for their benefit. And that's why I got so into food, because I can't control geopolitics, but I can control, like my cows, I can call them like Labradors. They like come running. You know, there's no stress in their life. They live this beautiful life, and my wife makes the cheese, and you can taste it. It like...
Oh, you're making your own cheese.
Oh, dude, we make our own cheese, our own butter.
I come to Idaho, I'm going to have to try that.
Bro, you're always welcome.
I have some seminar offers up there I've just been putting off, and I have friends living up in Idaho, too. I need to make it up there.
Dude, you'd love it there.
That's what I hear. I've been to Montana and stuff, but I drove through Montana, but didn't really do much there.
Dude, it's like this hidden gem, because it's not like people say, oh, you ran off into the wilderness. I'm like, my kids play on turf fields. I'm like... Dude, we live next to this beautiful ski resort. It's just epic, but there is a lot of wilderness. But the people are strong.
No, I hear amazing things about Idaho. Pretty cool people. Like I said, I know like Wyoming and Montana's more popular, but that's kind of good. You guys aren't.
Yeah, no, it's like I shouldn't even be talking about it right now.
We'll cut this.
No, it's all bad. Potatoes and methamphetamines.
Yeah, right. There probably is a lot of meth there too, or you're in a town with not a lot of meth.
Well, there's in the hills there are.
Yeah.
But where I live, it's like all my friends have like 5 kids. They all grow food. They're all like respectable business owners. You know, it's just like quality people. Reminds me of Switzerland.
Yeah, it's funny because I kind of grew up in the country too, and people don't realize there's bad parts of the country and good parts.
Exactly.
Just like the city. I grew up in the bad part, but now I own a couple houses in the nice part of the same area, and where my mom moved up to. So it's like now I got places in the nice part, and it's 30 minutes away, both in the middle of nowhere, but such a difference.
Dude,
one has
so
like
true,
wineries
man.
by it, mountains, lakes. The other one's like meth and trailers.
Dude, that's why I don't mind white trash or white. It's almost like that's how I feel about the hard end. It's like it's behavior based, not race based. It's like if you're going to steal a bike and do all this stuff, well, then there's a name for that. And then if you're not, there's another name. I'm from a kind of a brokenish town too. And it's like you're seeing people covered in cheese sauce at Walmart on a mobility scooter. There's a name for that.
Yeah.
And then people that don't do that, there's another word for that.
Well, even as white people, we differentiate. We call them white trash.
Exactly.
So we kind of differentiate our trash. Some of these people get mad, like, oh, no, you can't do that. It's like, okay, there's trashy ones and good ones. I don't know why other races don't do the same.
Well, that's why your black friend that doesn't like the word, he's not trash.
No,
right?
exactly.
He doesn't want to be lunked.
Yeah. And he thinks it's terrible that they're saying that word constantly.
Exactly.
He blamed the Jays. He said the music, they put it all in. Probably right.
The Jays definitely know
the hip hop, he
what
said
they're
they
up
put
to.
it, they've got him saying the word over and over. I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not, but not surprised.
Yeah, and Ye lost his N ability once he called out the J. Dude, is this Sesame Street? We're just doing letters now. It's so funny.
Well, I keep having to cut it out on YouTube, so I guess I got to start saying different words.
No, I love it.
Crazy
as long as
you
the
can't,
intention.
It's so crazy that you can't say a word and.
Well, the beauty is it's intention. It's like a gun doesn't kill people, a person kills somebody, you know? And it's the same with words. You can just say N and J, and as long as you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think a word can have intention. Only human consciousness can have intention.
Well, especially the one word is not supposed to be bad. Jew is supposed to be a bad word, but when you say it, it's got to be bleeped out. So I'll probably have to bleep that out of the YouTube since I said Jew.
It's the only word
so
where
weird.
the pejorative is the word.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's all in the eyebrows. It's like Jew, like Jew.
How you say it, Jew. Is that a good or bad one?
Yeah, it's all eyebrows.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Back to a little off topic, but kind of on topic. You were calling out pedophiles early in Hollywood, weren't you?
Very, very early. Yeah, and I was talking about that. And that was before I had any J conspiracies at all. And I'm naming all these guys. I'm like, guys, and I'm repped at CAA. I'm on a TV show. I'm not. I'm like doing
you're
well.
Get fired from there.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm naming all these guys, and it's not even like they're like convicted. It's not even like I'm just speculating. And people are like, oh, you're anti-Semitic. I'm like, no, it's this guy and this guy and this guy. And then I realized that they were all Jays.
They ratted themselves out.
And
by
I don't
calling
even
you
know.
anti-Semitic. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
I can't tell them apart by looking at them.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know. And then that was crazy, man. That was a crazy time in my life.
Did they go after you pretty hard for calling them out? Were they angry
Oh,
about it?
dude, it's about the trans kid thing. I lost my agent, my manager, all my touring ability. And then I was slowly kicked off every single platform.
Wow.
Dude, I can't rent out a house on Airbnb.
Jesus.
To this day.
For saying there shouldn't be trans kids, or what'd you do exactly?
Yeah, I just wouldn't. I'm like you, I might disagree with people on stuff, but I'm honorable and I don't back down.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to take away my ability to make an income. And I had like a rental house. And so it was in my wife's name from like money I made on a sitcom or selling scripts or something. And I got kicked off that, And so I got kicked off PayPal. I couldn't even rent a theater and sell my own tickets.
For not wanting trans kids.
Right. It's like, dude, you're not allowed in any of our systems, And it made me mad, but then I got more resilient. I'm like, it's up to us to make more systems. Like, we got to get our own piece of land to do festivals at, and that's what we did with Beartaria with the new special. And
yeah, I just watched that. That was good, and that was interesting. You went out, where were you, Missouri?
Missouri.
You went out in the middle of a hayfield and built a stage and did a comedy special.
Yeah, because you can't cancel intention. You can't cancel comedy. You can cancel, and it's oddly fair. As much as I don't want to admit it, they're like, listen, you want to buy a house and have all the privileges of a hotel and all the marketing? Okay. Well, then you got to think a 7-year-old boy's a girl. And if not, do it yourself. And I'm like, I will do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no problem. And I've learned a lot from that.
Yeah, no, I was early on the trans stuff too. I was criticizing it, and it used to get a lot of hate from it. Now it's like trendy to hate on it, but originally, like people were scared to like my posts and stuff.
Yeah,
when I was
yeah.
this stuff's ridiculous, you know. So I was calling it out early when everyone was playing along with it. Now the backlash, people are like, okay, this is insane. But
Dude,
yeah,
it's
no,
totally switched because it doesn't take a lot of people to switch the whole thing.
no,
It's like one or two people just not going along. The whole thing's fragile.
and that's why I started speaking up. Realized how important it was. It was, you know, I had Twitter for years, but my manager would just tweet for me. But like during like, you know, the BLM riots and COVID, I'm like, screw this, started tweeting. Obviously, the manager's like, hey, you can't tweet. I'm just like, nah, fuck off. I'm tweeting. It's just too important. And
Oh,
I think
totally.
people need to speak up because it does make a difference.
Dude, it's it's not fair. And that's what snapped me out. Cause I used to be more like liberal, hedonistic. And I would like say something and my manager would be like, dude, you can't say, what was that? You can't say the Ebola virus looks like Mickey Mouse. We just got paid by Disney. And I'd be like, no problem. But when they're like, you can't speak out against transitioning a 7-year-old, I'm like, then that makes me an evil person.
Exactly.
No. And then I just line in the same with like, I'll never put a mask on my kid, no matter what you say. I'll grow my own food if you kick me out of grocery stores. And so, yeah, I can have a chip on my shoulder. And we're talking about like how I can get in feuds and I can be kind of like a dick. And I'm working on that. You know, I really am. Because I've been, where were you, cowards? And, you know, for all you guys out there, I'm working on it, you know.
It is frustrating though when like guys like us that actually did stand up early on and everyone's acting like they were there, but they weren't. It's like, okay, everyone's saying they were, but they weren't. Especially me in San Francisco, like literally everyone had a mask on, and guys are trying to be like, oh, we knew, we didn't play along. It's like, you guys are all lying because
They're all lying.
I was literally the only person walking around San Francisco without a mask and, you know, going in the store, and I had to at one point, you know, because you can steal in San Francisco. So if people, they would try not to ring me up to buy stuff, and it's like, well, I'm just going to steal it. I mean, I'll give you my money, or I can steal it. And people they always rang me up when I would say that when they saw I was serious.
Dude, and that's when I lost my last YouTube because I was crowdsourcing information, you know, where I'm like, does anyone see anyone actually dying? And it was like, I was reporting like, this is all a hoax. And I was doing comedy about how to respond when someone says to wear a mask, where it's like, my psychiatrist says I can't. Massive for criminals and perverts. Which one are you? Like all these. So we're making it funny. And they're like, oh, dude, you're out of here. And so that was the last time I could be on YouTube.
Yeah, I just don't know how so many people went along with the COVID hoax. People just weren't dying other than people that are like 90. Like we would have known if there was a pandemic. There just wasn't a pandemic. You know, you go down, I was in San Francisco, you go on the streets, the crackheads would be having parties. I was so bored, I was about to start smoking crack with them. I just returned from fighting. I had no fucking job, doing nothing. I'm like, oh, the crackheads are having fun.
Yeah, it's like
there's not a pandemic.
It's like when they're pretending it's a hurricane and the guy's freaking out and then there's just dudes walking behind him.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
There was one point, though, where I never eat edibles. I fucking hate edibles. And then I'm watching like CNN or some of the news and showing everyone in ventilators, and I had like a 10-minute panic attack where like, oh my God, I probably have COVID because I've been out like training jiu-jitsu and shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is why I'm not doing weed.
That's
for edibles.
hilarious, dude. No, last time I had a pop brownie was on Joey Diaz's stream, and it was...
Yeah. You ate
bro,
a brownie around
I just
Joey
like
Diaz?
got up and left during it. And it really did change my, like it was intense.
I couldn't imagine eating a pot brownie around Joey Diaz. I would lose
Dude,
my
he's
mind.
like, yo, dog, so the dragon's coming, dog, and then the thing comes in.
Oh, dude.
And dude, I'm looking at him, and I'm not like used to that. And it was a star of death. It was like so powerful. And it's like his face, I was like, dude, that's like a demon, bro. And I'm like, and dude, it was like, we're about this far into a podcast. And I'm like, yo, can I just grab some air? And then I never came back. And then I moved.
Jesus.
I was like, we got to get the fuck out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it opened you up. No, the eating weed is like, it's a heavy drug. I would rather smoke crack probably than eat weed. It's like,
dude, that was
shit,
so
it's
intense.
I don't know how people do it. It's so intense.
No, people are like, yeah, let's just eat some edibles and go to work. I'm like,
it makes no sense to me.
Dude, I was holding my arm and I'm like, that's like, I can feel that that's not me. I'm like, that's like a bone. Like, that's not me.
Yeah. Dude.
And then it faded out, but I never forgot what I thought about. And so I'm grateful for Joey Diaz.
Yeah, no, I like Joey, but I wouldn't want to do edibles around him or mushrooms or anything.
Yeah, and
like
I was
that.
trying to keep up too. I'm like, when in Rome, you know, Joey Diaz, and I just was way out of my league.
People have crazy tolerances, I guess, because I have friends eat so much. The few times I eat it, I'm like, I am just torn up.
Dude, intense.
Yeah.
It's like that with alcohol. I haven't drank alcohol in a while now, and I just had like a glass of wine, and it felt so foreign, and I like had no tolerance, and I'm like, I'm not into this anymore. And back in the day, I could drink like a bottle of vodka and do a show. And now I'm like, it's just like, I don't know, you get tolerance. That's why I think people die of heroin after they quit.
Yeah, I hear that's most of the ODs because they quit for a while and they come back and their tolerance is way lower.
Yeah, and they don't realize it. Yeah.
They do what they're used to doing and then just OD.
Exactly.
Yep, terrible. No, unfortunately, I have a high alcohol tolerance even when I stop drinking. You know, I'd always stop drinking for a few months, fights, and I'd drink again. And I'm like, damn it, I'm still not getting drunk.
That's hilarious.
Probably part Irish or something. One of those drunken cultures.
No, I can still like be cool after 10 drinks. Like I'm not like a train wreck, but it just felt strong. I was like, and back in the day, I could have vodka water all night long. And it's just, I like local. Like my whole thing is like only if someone makes it that I know. And it felt interesting. It felt foreign to me.
Yeah, I think alcohol is one of those things that's totally fine in small doses, but too much is not good. You know, it can be fun occasionally with friends to get drunk, but if you're drinking all the time, start depending on it, it's not good.
Yeah, and it's like same with like not being in Idaho. Like I came here, I feel Amish. I come off the plane, there's this huge screen, and it's like a porno. It's like some ladies in like a bikini, and I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's like when you don't eat sugar and then you eat like an apple and it's like a Skittle.
Yeah, Vegas is intense. You're probably staying on the Strip or no?
Yeah. No, we're staying in a place so I could tell my kids I was in a castle and I saw a dragon.
Oh, nice. Yeah. How old are your kids? Or you don't want to talk about this?
No, it's fine. 8, 6, 4, and 2.
Oh, yeah. All boys, right?
All boys, dude. And they're in jujitsu and stuff. And
that must be crazy. At least you can open the door and be like, go outside.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And we're on a farm, so they can just go outside and go nuts. And they all do chores. So like they get their energy out, but it's like a nuclear reactor.
Yeah, young boys just have insane energy, or they should. I think nowadays they're too stuck like on screens and terrible diets, and they should be running around like that. If they're not, something's wrong with them.
Dude, and the good news is you can still have good kids because I've been a truther for a while, so I'm like, in the clouds there's aluminum and blah blah blah, and is there stuff in the air where everyone's got to be like their endocrines? Nah, my kids are like polite, smart, tall, athletic. It just requires being outside, playing, good thoughts, clean eating.
I mean, parents need to make an effort. They need to talk to their kids, teach them things, teach them the right things to do. Don't just let them be on social media all the time. It's like your responsibility too. You can't just hand them off to a school or daycare and be like, oh, why is my kid a little shit?
100%, dude. The J trap is all about convenience and comfort. I saw that.
Yeah, they want things easy, and some people don't even want to be around their kids, which is kind of weird. Like, why would you not want to hang out with your kids?
Dude, it's like the happiest time of my life right now. It's cool I get to go on the road again because my 8-year-old is now responsible enough, and my 2-year-old's not a baby, and so before I was like a peasant. I'm like tied to the land. I have to like milk at this hour and do all this stuff, and now I can like travel. So thanks for having me, man. This is like
Are you gonna be doing stand-up tours again, or are you kind of like
banned from that scene? I will. Yeah.
So you're not completely excommunicated.
No, I actually, a bunch of them talk to me behind the scenes. I only freak out if someone does something publicly. And I'll show you videos where people will talk shit and then I'll react and they pretend they didn't talk shit.
I saw you and Sam Tripoli, whatever.
Tripoli,
you guys were going at it. I forget exactly why.
Yeah, we make up every couple of years.
You guys just fight occasionally.
Yeah, he's from the same area as me. And, he's like, yo, dude, Sam Tripoli, bro. Yo, like he went at me hard for making fun of Jays.
Is that what it was?
This years ago, but then he did apologize. And so we're cool for a few more years. And then there's another thing, and it literally is fine. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. So there's like that big like the Legion and Skanks and stuff. Are you cool with all
I
those
love
comedians,
Lewis, man. He's one of the guys. He's a builder. I respect builders, and he built his festival.
He brings that down to Vegas. I've been like the last 3 years. It's pretty cool. Tons
and
of
privately,
comedians, a big party. It's
dude,
fun.
Legendary. And privately, he's told me, he's like, all this stuff that you were saying and got canceled for, people now say openly. And he's just a business guy, and I respect it. I just don't like it when people moralize me. Like my manager was like, hey man, like I can't rep you anymore. You just called like one of my friends like a fat J, but he's like, I still love you. My agent was like, you've become pure evil. And I'm like, no, I haven't. And those are the people I get pissed about. Not the people that are like, hey man, I can't be seen with you because I have all this debt.
So cowardly though, but I guess I get it. But I feel
it's cowardly, but I don't engage. I'm like, okay, enjoy coward living. But the people that are like, I cannot believe Owen Benjamin he's like lost his mind. I'm like, we just talked about it a week ago, you fucking lie, and then they're like, he's attacking.
Yeah, it was like that with the vaccine. In San Francisco, people were just like so angry. I mean, they had laws, you weren't allowed to go in business without it. People acting like you're evil. It's like, no, go fuck yourself.
You're killing my grandmother. It's not your freedom. And I'm like, dude, I know it's in vaccine. vaccines. I know about adjuvants. I know about all that shit. And all the comedians that are like not only not saying anything, they're like actively shaming anyone who won't. But it's my job to not hold resentment. So I am trying to not be as much of a dick.
Yeah, the comedians were pretty pathetic. I'm lucky with fighters were like super cool with it. I was surprised. Fighters were just like, I don't give a shit about COVID. But comedians were pretty embarrassing.
Bro, I'll never look at it the same way, to the point where I almost stopped calling myself a comedian because I thought it was so humiliating.
It's got to be hard when your group of peers always turns into total bitches. It was great for me in fighting. I saw like, oh, my peers don't give a fuck about it. They don't give a fuck. Even the black guys didn't really give a fuck about Black Lives Matter for the most part. They were just like, and the couple that did, everyone's like, whatever, we're all like a brotherhood. And like, okay, fighters are actually pretty cool. But seeing the comedians, actors, and like, wow, these people are pathetic.
Dude, and what drew me to comedy is probably what drew you to fighting. It's like honest. It's like you go up there, you make them laugh, you win. If not, you lose. And so I'm like, there has that visceral thing about stand-up that you can't fake like you can in movies. Like you can keep doing takes and CGI, but I watched it get faked. I watched Netflix come in with all this money and laugh tracks and agenda.
Laugh tracks. That's so
oh my God.
lame.
It's like MK Ultra shit. And it's like, okay, man, there's no honor there, but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if MK Ultra and Hollywood are tied in together.
No, yeah, it's
There's definitely some weird stuff in Hollywood, I'd imagine.
No, the guy that started Netflix is Edward Bernays' nephew, the guy that wrote Crystallizing Public Opinion. He got people to put fluoride in the water, and
Jesus.
No, he's 4 out of 5 dentists. Like that's that trick he invented. Like 4 out of 5 dentists. Dude, it gets.
And then
dark.
it shows that it lowers kids' IQs. That's like proven.
Yeah, and I, guys like us say it for years, and they never apologize. They're just like, oh, by the way, yeah, it does that, and then it's like, you want to apologize for calling me schizophrenic, and they're like, oh, you sound unhinged.
Yeah, no one apologized for the COVID thing. Even the guys that don't take the vaccine anymore, like they'll never apologize. It's so weird.
Dude, they've monetized being anti-vax, and they told me I was murdering people.
So are you anti all vaccines or just COVID? I'll probably have to cut this part out of YouTube depending on your answer, but that's all right.
Yeah, we don't do any.
I'm kind of leaning that direction too. Before I always just went along with it, but after COVID, doing a deep dive in that vaccine, I'm very skeptical of them all. I haven't had enough time to properly research it because it's a lot of fucking research, each individual vaccine. Yeah. I kind of lean towards, especially once I saw, have you ever seen like the charts of like all these diseases and when the vaccine was released? Almost all the vaccines were released right when the diseases were disappearing. Yeah,
I think most of it was sanitation.
Exactly.
The reason theoretically a vaccine could work like kind of like homeopathy, where if you get exposed to something, you can get a strength to it. Until they accept liability and until there isn't a law saying I can't sue them, like, no.
Yeah, there's a law where you can't sue the vaccine companies for your injuries. That's insane.
Yeah, at that point, I might imagine if it's like, I'm going to go on a roller coaster, but you have to sign something where if your head gets knocked off, you can't do anything. I'm like, I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I think I'll pass on a roller coaster. Same with the vaccine.
Yeah, and I'm not like strongly about it. I'm just like, nah.
Well, they're giving the kids, I don't know how many, was it 30, 40, 50, maybe some insane amount.
Dude, it's like Hunger Games, different. Yeah, this part you might have to cut out, but different.
Yeah, it's all right. Sometimes we have to do that with episodes. We can just.
Even though I don't think we're going against terms right now, but it's like there is like demographics that get more veterans, ghetto dudes. It's very Hunger Gamesy. It's very like we want to weaken these people, and
a lot of the veterans had problems with it. And there's so many parents that like so many mothers that swear their child was okay, and then they got autism for like 18 months and stuff after the vaccine. I doubt mothers are crazy. You know your kid if it's regressing. So you see that. Plus, I've also noticed a lot of the vaccine children seem to never get sick. They seem healthier. A lot of the vaccine kids around seem to be healthy, getting sick all the time.
I mean, there's theories that it almost is like that's the whole plan, but I don't. I can't. I don't have no idea. But all I know is like I have a thing now where I'm like I'm out. If you can't prove it to me, I'm not going to consent. Do your thing, but I'm not consenting.
Yeah, I stopped trusting the experts after COVID because I very carefully went through all the data and saw that it was BS. And then people were like, constantly, you're not a doctor, you don't know. And it's like, no, I can look through that and see the experts are bullshit. You learn like, half the science we believe is probably bullshit. Some of it's real, certain stuff, obviously, like, TVs, microphones, but shit that's just theory. A lot of it's completely fake.
Dude, it's science fiction, especially when they say the science. I'm like, science is a method.
Exactly.
Like anyone can do science. When someone's like, oh no, you have to have a robe. I'm like, that's a religion. You're doing a religion.
They're repeating over and over. They say, trust the expert. Oh, the science is settled. That's what they're saying. Science is not settled. The point of science is it's
There is
always
never
evolving.
settled.
Science cannot be settled.
Yeah, it's kind of like the globe flat thing that spirals everyone. I'm like, you're supposed to just try and poke holes in everything. Like, I don't know. I don't have the answer to any of that stuff.
I mean, I assume the world's round, but I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning it.
Exactly.
They should be questioning. I believe you should question everything.
Yeah. Just try and poke at anything. And, you know, whenever you make a claim, whoever says the claim has to prove it. That's the legal standard. And that's why I know I just avoid claims. And people are like, then what's your motto? I'm like, I'm not the one claiming a motto. I'm a guy in Idaho pulling on goat tits, telling jokes. I'm like, I'm just asking you questions, you know?
Yeah, there's certain things that we can see there's holes in, you know?
Exactly.
Like, you know, an event that happened in the 40s and certain things you can see holes.
100%.
Doesn't mean there's things, but you're like, hey, there might be some holes in this. Doesn't mean it happened, but we should be able to ask these questions.
And people's reaction. Like, I'm like, no, I'm a supplier. I think it was 6 billion, you know? And then they're like, oh, how dare you? I'm like, so it has to be a certain number.
It has to be exactly that.
I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, can I get a franchise to a certain event to have my own museum? I don't know. We're speaking so coded now. I don't even know if people understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, probably. I think there's only one event that you can't question.
Right. It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, is there any other event you can't question? I don't think so. Maybe Sandy Hook.
Yeah, no, there's a few. Yeah, I wonder if it's like the Inquisition denial. Like, it's never any other.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I did that cartoon with Pol Pot. You ever see that one?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, dude, you like it. It's like Pol Pot's like, what about my Holocaust? And then the J is like, it's about branding, baby. You got to sell it, Pol Pot. You need a pile of shoes. And he's like, I just shoot man in jungle. And it's like, that's not fear, baby. Come on. And so that cartoons went like hyper viral. I don't even think anyone knows it's my voice.
Interesting. You know, Pol Pot, wasn't that like in the 60s or something? That was way more recently than...
Yeah, millions of people, way higher of a population.
I think it was after, might have been 70s even. We just kind of turned, I think mine was 70s. We just completely ignored it.
Yeah, killing fields in Cambodia. He was killing everybody with glasses. Like, if you had reading glasses, you were dead.
He figured you're too smart. Oh, you can read. Kill anyone that can read. Doctors. Yeah, complete lunatic.
Dude, the COVID thing was insane, and no one's apologizing about it. It's like people didn't go to their dad's funeral.
That's evil.
I mean, that was so nuts, man.
And no one's even lost their jobs. Fauci's, he might resign, but he wasn't fired.
No, they got bonuses.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, great work. And I remember saying, I'm not taking medical advice from dudes who get awards for lowering the world population. And people are like, how dare you? I'm like, okay, man.
Yeah, it just showed you most humans are still complete idiots. That was a wake-up call.
Yeah, and the eugenics program, it's all about like, if you believe me, you know, that's what woke me up about a certain Israeli thing, is I was freaking out about weapons of mass destruction. And I had a friend that I was like telling her, she's Israeli, and I'm like, but you guys said like there was weapons of mass destruction. There wasn't. She was like, yeah, but you believed us. And I was pissed. And then I was like, oh, that's the standard. Like, I should just never, I should always try and validate or verify everything you say. And now I'm more relaxed. I'm like, oh, yeah, you don't get trust from me ever again.
No, we shouldn't trust the media, the politicians, the people at the top. They don't have our interest.
No, and that's the game. The game is like, if you trust me, we think you're weak. It's like a jungle. They see it as, and I'm like an honor guy. I'm like, if you lie, that's so humiliating, but not to them. They're like, you believed us. They're like leprechauns.
No, they love it. It's like a game. Let's switch up something fun.
Cool,
what's some of your, I know it says your conspiracy theory on your Wikipedia. Let's hear some of your favorite conspiracies.
Okay, let's talk some conspiracies that if anyone's triggered, it's totally on them.
Yeah.
Panda bears.
Clearly they're fake.
Literally.
No.
Do you want to hear my argument?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not saying they're like fake. Like, I think that animals exist that are, I just think they're like Shih Tzus. They're like completely lab, like bred to be that. Because they only ovulate like 3 days a year. They sleep or eat 23 hours a day. They can't defend themselves. They only eat bamboo. And a group of them is called an embarrassment of pandas. And they don't exist in Chinese history before like 1870.
Interesting. And how do they survive? They seem like such an incompetent like animal that no way they could survive.
They're upset. And this is one of those things where if I say it, people are like, oh, you're an idiot. And like every couple of weeks, someone will text me like, dude, look at this video. They literally are like retarded.
I'm gonna go find some panda videos and send them to you now.
Yeah, they just like roll down hills.
Did you see the video? I think it was China. They put dogs and painted them like pandas, and they were faking them at a zoo, and they got in trouble. It was amazing.
Dude, everyone writes it to me. I'm like, okay, every panda in the world's owned by China. I'm like, so like they own the genetics of it. You know, they started rolling it out in like 47. They sent everyone a panda. It was called Panda Diplomacy. Pan is like the demon, like Pan, like pandemic, pandemonium. I think they might have been bred to eat bamboo because bamboo is hard to clear.
So maybe they wanted to clear the bamboo.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, well, they're black, white, Asian, and docile. Let's roll this out as like the model citizen, you know?
Perfect for Asia, yeah. It seems a little crazy, but it's possible.
Dude,
the fact of them surviving makes no sense. Like, how the fuck's a panda
they don't ovulate. They don't F.
Yeah, they won't breed in captivity,
They won't
right?
breed. They can't get them to F. They're like, they're lazy. I've always despised them. And so I'm like, dude.
Everyone else thinks they're cute, and you're like, fuck these pandas.
Oh, dude, people are like, oh, save the panda. I'm like, dude, they're useless. I despise them.
Yeah, they are pretty damn useless. They're just cute, but.
Allegedly.
The dog ones were cuter.
Dog pandas. I think red pandas were a valid species, but I think they've been bred into an abomination.
I'm gonna do some research on pandas after this.
Dude, it's a whole rabbit hole.
How about NASA and the moon landing? What are your thoughts on
Oh yeah, I mean this triggers people hard, right? I mean, you ever see American Psycho?
Yeah, but
with Patrick Bateman
time ago when it first came out, so I don't remember it very well.
It's like, do you remember how he lied when someone's like, where were you? And he's like, oh, I was probably returning videotapes. Like the most ridiculous lies. That's NASA to me. It's like, how come you guys never went back? It's like, oh, we don't have the technology and we destroyed it and we can't rebuild it. And it's like, so where's the evidence you went? This is official. They go,
no, I know, it's insane.
They go, well, we had the proof and we taped over it. And they're like, why? We're like, why? They're like, we had a budget problem in the 80s, so we like recorded over it. And we're like, you get $65 million a day. They're like, yeah. And you're like, okay. And then they, like, what time in history have people explored something and just never went back or monetized it or did anything?
Yeah, the way they recorded over the tapes of it.
That's what they claim. They said they dude, this is official.
Yeah.
They recorded over, and that's all I think about. I'm not like agenda driven. People are like, why are you trying to take away our greatest accomplishment? I'm like, faking it's a great accomplishment. I mean, you guys still did that.
No, it's possible because like one that got me is when I read that we can't go back today because we don't have the technology. That was like a what? Because everything else technology is so much better. And what is that? Was it 69 the year or so? And then we went then and they say we can't go back now. That makes no sense.
Dude, Neil Armstrong brags. He's like, we had less tech than a TI-83. And then the next thing they're like, oh yeah, we don't have the money to make that again. And then you look at the lander. It looks like a meth head's tree fort. It's like, it looks like it was put together by a dude from a dumpster. And people are just like, oh yeah, you know, we can't do it again. And then I had Vivian Kubrick on my stream and we're laughing because anyone who's made film or been in production knows that it's like nonsense. Like film doesn't work at like 50 degrees sometimes. They're saying it's negative 250. And she was like, yeah, I don't think my dad faked it because it would have looked better. And I'm like,
oh yeah, because there's a rumor that Stanley Kubrick faked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was too good a filmmaker, so it's probably someone else.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, they needed to give people something to get excited about. It's all good. I don't envy the people that run the system. I'm like, you guys got to keep this thing going. It's just running on fumes.
Yeah, I have no strong opinion either way, but they definitely had a reason to do it. We were, it was the Cold War with Russia, so we wanted to show we could get there first. It was a race to get there. So there's definitely a motive.
Yeah, totally.
So you had that. You had the fact that we can't go back today. They taped over the footage. It's a little strange. We should at least be able to question this without being like, oh, you're crazy. It's like, maybe you're crazy for not asking these questions.
Dude, the thing that gets me like fired up isn't that someone doesn't believe or they believe it. It's that I'm crazy for wondering why they taped over the footage.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It makes no sense tape over footage.
That's the thing where I'm like, dude, if it wasn't for that, if someone's like, yeah, that's really crazy, but I think we went, I'd be like, no problem. Just admit that sounds crazy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, also, let's say we're the head of NASA, right? And then we land on the moon. We sit there afterwards to be like, hey, what you do with the technology? Let's destroy it. We'd probably save it, right? Or we'd be sitting and destroy it.
It's like, sir, we have all this tech now. Like everything's advanced so far. Should we advance that other thing? It's like, no. Don't advance that other thing and just destroy it. And let's just pretend it never happened.
Yeah. In the movie, I have to record a different movie, so I'll tape over it. I got this movie I want to record no matter how to tape.
It's like, and let's focus on Mars. It's like, dude, what about the moon? They're like, dude, the moon's done. We've already been there. It's gay. And you're like, dude. And they're like, it's gay. And
Maybe
it's
it was like really gay. Maybe they saw some gay shit there and like, we are not going back.
dude, that'd be funny if they did actually go and they're like, dude, there's
Gay
some
aliens.
gays. It's like you go up there, you come back gay.
Yeah, like we're not going back.
Like we can't tell you the real story.
Yeah, I can't remember what. I feel like some of the astronauts said some weird things too that were a little strange. But
dude.
I never looked that into the moon landing.
Dude, Buzz's mom's name was Moon, and she unalived herself the year of the moon landing. Like, I don't buy that. I mean, I might just be a skeptic. I might have PTSD from COVID. I have no idea. But it's like, so Buzz's mom's name is Moon. It's almost like lazy writing. They're like, his mom's name's, Moon. And so where is she now? She's gone. It's like, okay, dude.
No, there's some weird stuff in NASA. I forget the guy's name, but one of the guys was like, one of the early guys in NASA was like summoning demons and stuff before. And
Jack Parsons and all those guys.
Go,
They were all, and Walt Disney, they were all buddies. And they all had like bets, like, can we make grown men cry over a cartoon of a dead deer? That was Bambi. Yeah, Jack Parsons, who started JPL, was like in a cult, like a total black magician.
yeah, he was like actually doing black magic ceremonies, like sex and maybe sacrifices potentially. Weird
Totally.
stuff.
Totally. They're like, what kind of science does he do? They're like, well, he drinks period blood and talks to Beelzebub. And they're like, oh, did you learn that at Caltech? Because I did a podcast at Caltech with physics. So I'm like, I know this world. They're not like bad people. They do some good science, but there's some huge holes where I think they're so compartmentalized that they don't see, they'll like focus on like doing one thing. Like my buddy's grandfather made the lunar go-kart and he totally believes it. He's like all in. He's smarter than me. But I'm like, so you don't see the bigger picture? And it's like, no, I designed that go-kart. I'm like, so they were playing golf and riding dune buggies and now they don't have the technology to go back. They're like, I don't understand. And they just kind of go green screen. And I'm like, whatever, panda bears.
Yeah, that's like talking to doctors about COVID. When you start showing them actual studies and they're just like, their eyes go blank because they don't want to read the studies you're giving them.
Totally. They're like, I can't look at that or I break.
Yeah, it's like, you see their eyes just going like not shutting down.
That's why comedians shut down with me. Sometimes they're like, why do they get to say the N-word and not us? And I'll just like say it. And they're like, dude.
You can't say that.
They're like, now you're the bad man. And now I have to tell Jake not to have you on. But I got love for people though. I really do. I can admit that I can fly off the handle and I'm working on it.
Yeah, you can be a little insane, it looks like. But a lot of it looks like you're just like messing around too, is the way of looking at it.
Yeah, like in person, you can tell the vibe. Imagine if I was tweeting, like, you go to the moon, you become gay. Like, people are like, oh, this guy went nuts. But when you hear the tone, because Norm Macdonald had the same problem, and I'm not comparing myself to him as far as skill level, but on Twitter, people would be like, dude, Norm's a psycho. But you'd hear him say it. He'd be like, well, go to the moon and, you come back a gay guy. And everyone's like, oh, that's funny. Yeah. I'm very tonal and, maybe I do tweet too much, but to me, that's like my comedy club where I get feedback. It's like an echo, it's like sonar.
I think a lot of people on Twitter, they kind of miss the tone and all that. But who cares? I don't really care.
I don't either. I'm like, listen,
real.
You're here. I assume you're here because you think I'm funny. If you just stumbled in here, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys that say they hate you, they'll see you and come and take a picture. It's the funny part.
Bro, not only that, it's like they'll tell me I helped them have a kid or something. They're like,
I hated you so much. I fucked this girl.
Yeah. They're like, man, you really got me through a hard time. I'm like, 6 months ago, this tweet said that I'm like the most, like that everyone should be afraid of me and I've lost my mind. They're like, dude, I had to, bro, or else I would have gotten fired from Disney Channel.
Yeah, people are like, man, can you unblock me? I'm like, well, I don't block people that much, so you must have been a dick. Why did I block you? Like, oh, come on, I'm a big fan. I just had like a bad day.
Dude,
like, I'll unblock
people
you.
Get messed. I've realized a lot of people on Twitter are like on drugs or drunk. And then later they're like, yo, man, my bad.
You're probably right.
Yeah, they're like hammered. They're like,
he blocked me. Fuck you.
Your dad's a queer. And and I'm like, dude, get the hell out of here. And then they're like, hey, man, my bad. I was like really, really crazy last night. I'm like, all right.
No, yeah, I guess we get a lot of people don't have anything else going on. We just do a shit post. A lot of people might be miserable at work and they're on there. They want something to get angry at.
Totally. And I've gotten more chill about it because I make fun of all kinds of crazy shit. So I'm like, go ahead and make fun of me. Just don't come at like my ability to make a living or like actually slander. Other than that, I'm like, mock me as much as you want, or else it wouldn't be fair for me to mock people. So
you got to have thick skin. Like,
dude,
to me, the hate doesn't bother me at all. But some people are like, oh, how do you handle online hate? Like, I think it's funny.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I think it's funny unless there's a little thing in me that's like they're trying to get me kicked off a bank.
Yeah, no, that's different. When,
yeah.
Who are the people that try to get kicked off banks?
Dude, I've been kicked out of all kinds of payment processors.
Yeah, I've had people definitely after my finances as well. So generally the same people.
Yeah, totally.
The go after you pretty hard too.
They're chilling out though, right?
They're chilling out, I think. I think they've kind of like accepted that they're losing.
Yeah, I think they're like, now
it's the Jays' turn. They're like, all right, we'll step back and let them go after people.
Dude, it's just a wheel of insanity. The Jays, I said this years ago. I'm like, they could just change their name and rebrand. They could be like, my name's, Frederick Goodwater. Like they just change and then rebrand. That's why I look at behavior. Acceptance of lies, victim, being a victim consciousness, like rules for thee, not for me. Like those are the things I look at. And they hide behind like Jay because they've built up this whole brand of like, you're evil if you make fun of us.
Yeah, you can't mention you're evil. Like someone would be criticizing, I think my orchestra getting criticized about the border, and then he switched it up to my parents were a Holocaust survivor.
Totally.
They weren't even like, I don't know if you saw that clip. They weren't even nothing about the It's like, what are you talking about? Like, shut up.
Dude, it's so naked. You could be like, did you steal $1 billion? They're like, I'm feeling an atmosphere of hate. And you're like, okay.
It's like, just shut up.
Yeah, and that was like branded in like the 70s. Like that word, I did a video where it's not even in the encyclopedias in the 60s.
Yeah, no one wrote about it, talked about it until...
No, they branded it.
It's like, let's brand this. This would be great for marketing and making money and
Dude.
silencing people. It's worked great.
Yeah, and I'm not good at marketing. That's why I'm like, just watch my special. It's funny. It's so funny.
On Owen Benjamin, you got to plug
OwenBenjamin.com. Yeah, dude.
I'm terrible with that too. I forget to plug things
dude. I'm just aggressive about it. I'm like, it's the funniest one. Yeah. They're like,
fucking better watch it.
They're like, oh, that's kind of arrogant. I'm like, man, I could do a pile of shoes, and I don't know how to. I'm not manipulative, so that's why I'm just like, buy it or you're gay. That's all I got.
No one wants to be gay. So.
No one wants to be gay.
That's why we haven't been back to the moon.
Dude, that's so funny. You go, the new moon suit. Guess who makes it? Like according to NPR.
Who?
Prada.
Prada moon suit?
Dude, the new astronaut suits for NASA are literally made by Prada.
That's so weird.
It's so gay.
It's pretty gay.
It's like the definite. I don't mean like two dudes going at it. I mean like gay. Like everyone knows what gay means.
Yeah. We call someone a fag. They're usually not even gay. They're just being a fag.
Exactly. Yeah.
People don't understand that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're a special boy with special needs. Me and my buddy used to joke about dudes that are like, only the best for me, thank you. Like, only the best. I'm the special boy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, all these people worry about your words, and it's so retarded.
It's how you hide intention. That's why I'm passionate about it. It's like, I used to do these hypotheticals where it's like, what's worse, saying I want to kill all African Americans, or these hard ends are just like me? And people are like, oh, the second one's worse. I'm like, why? My intention is worse.
I remember early on AI, they asked like, would you say the N word or something to like stop a nuke or something? And it's like, no, I could never say that word. And it's like, wow. And AI is going to have a lot of power soon.
Oh, yeah. People are starting to just trust it. They're like, well, AI says it. And I'm like, but is it real?
Yeah, right. They can program it any way they want.
That's why dudes like us, I think, have good futures, because it's like, there's going to be a shortage of people being able to discern anything. I saw that just coming into the city, and people are just like, they're accepting, I don't know, I can't explain it. It was just like kind of low consciousness in the airport. I was just like, move, talk, solve your problems.
Yeah, you get some weird people in Vegas. Some cool people too, but some
definitely cool people. I have some friends that love it here.
And over like, you said you're going to go check out Red Rock while you're here, right?
Yeah, my sons love scorpions.
Oh, nice.
They love desert stuff. They're just all about like epic adventures. I'm like, I'm going to talk to a great warrior in the desert, and I'm staying in a castle.
Dope. Yeah, if I didn't have to leave tomorrow, I'd go to Red Rock. Red Rock's awesome.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of cool hiking out there and shit.
Yeah, like when I was touring all the time, I got healthy, and I would always like look to like do something in each city, and Red Rock was my Vegas spot.
Yeah, it's so important to do stuff when you're in cities instead of just drinking all night, and otherwise you fall apart when you're on the
road.
road.
It gets so repetitive. It'd be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, drink, shows, party after drink, shows, party after. And I'm like, I got to be a real human being and like look forward to something good.
Yeah, I notice most comedians drink when they're performing too, or at least a couple of drinks to loosen up.
Yeah, mine would be after, or when I'm playing piano. Like I'll do stand up and then I'd switch to piano. And just from my bar piano days, that's when I'm like, shots. I'm playing Piano Man, sing-alongs. But stand-up, I like to keep my sharp as possible.
Yeah, and once you're used to doing things, then you have to keep doing it. So if you're used to being sober, it's probably easy. If you're used to having a couple of drinks, then every night they're like, oh, I got to have a couple of drinks. And if you're on tour, all of a sudden you're drinking like every night.
Totally. It's crazy how quick you can, like I had this like GNC pre-workout powder and I was like, this is great. I can just run. And then I didn't have it for a day and it felt like there was a nail in my head.
Yeah.
It's crazy how your body just adapts and then needs it. I'm trying to break coffee, but I don't.
Yeah, that's the one I'm addicted to, and that's the whole thing with like drug addiction. So first a drug, obviously, it's like amazing. A lot of times, first not weed, but drug feels great, but you keep doing it, then you just get addicted, and you're doing it just to feel normal.
Dude, victim consciousness is like that too. It's like the Ring in The Hobbit, where you put it on and no one sees your misdeeds. It's like 1943, you know, and then over time you need it more and more and more until you're just naked and everyone's mad at you.
Yeah, and then no one cares and they don't know what to do. It's like, wait, no one cares about my victimhood anymore.
They're like, but what about, that's why they're panicking, because they're like, especially the bees, they don't give a shit. And that's like a whole thing that a lot of, like that culture of dependence and victim consciousness, because it makes it easier to control. Now they're trying to out-victim each other, and the Jays are like, what the hell? It's like Frankenstein. That's why I'm like, dude, I'm grateful. I'm growing food. I'm just hanging.
Yeah, ultimately your life's what you take responsibility for.
100%.
Like my life is my responsibility. Like when I see guys melting down over the election, it's like, give me a break. It doesn't make a difference to me if it's fucking Kamala Harris or Trump. Either way, my life's going to be fine.
So I just would rather have a man.
Yeah,
but other than
I agree with that, yeah.
But either way, I'm like, I can see pluses and minuses. It's like, the right wing can go to sleep sometimes if their guy is in. Like that happened in Idaho. Like towards the end of Obama, everyone's organizing. They're like getting real productive. Then Trump comes in and they're like, we're good, man. But that's fine too. I would just rather have a guy. I think it's kind of humiliating to have a high-pitched woman.
We want that as our first female president. That's
I mean, that's just a nightmare.
But I think local politics are actually more important.
Way more. Sheriff is like everything.
The district attorney, the sheriff, this type of stuff.
Commissioners, like zoning.
And everyone's only thinking about the president, and they don't really do that much.
Dude, the sheriff can arrest the president. Our sheriff made open carry legal, like in Idaho. Like you can do so much as sheriff. Same with zoning. It's like our fight right now is to not subdivide big things of land. Like, you know, a lot of a lot of my friends are like between 10 and 100 acres. And so if they make it really profitable to just chop it up into half acres, then you get like that communist mentality. And because I don't want their money. Like I learned that during my cancellation. I'm like, they can give you all this money, but take everything good about an area. I'm like, I don't want your money. I'm not in debt. I'm like, keep it. I want to have my well. I want my neighbors. You know, I want us to be productive, because that's when migration kicks in. Because people complain all the time about mass migration. I'm like, then get more productive, have more children, like mow your own lawn. That's why this year I did a bit that I was going to grow my own cotton and pick my own cotton, but it died. My cotton died.
Cotton died. So you couldn't do it.
Yeah. I'm like, it's like, dude, just pick cotton.
Apparently
it's fine.
It's harder than you thought.
Yeah. I'm like, you don't need to bring in millions of people to pick your cotton. It's like easy. Just
like, all right, bring me in a Mexican.
Exactly,
or Salvadorian.
Yeah. And then they're like, these food prices. I'm like, imagine if we didn't have Mexicans. And they're like, oh, so you hate white people? I'm like, I grow my food. This is why. And then they're like, you're unhinged. You know, and I'm like, okay, you just don't want me bringing that up, which is fine.
Yeah, no, people like to be the victim a lot.
Totally.
Exactly. Things like get your own land, have your own kids, do your own shit.
Yeah, and do your own labor. And I'm like not even good at it. I wasn't raised on a farm. I was raised on 1/8 of an acre. And I like fail all the time. And I think like being okay with failure is important moving forward.
Yeah, and I grew up in the middle of nowhere, so I had to do all the chores and learn to build shit. And, you know, it sucks, but it's the way that you learn to get stuff done that way.
Do you have advice? Because you were raised more like how my sons are. Do you have any advice for me?
I would just say get them, you know, give them maybe like wrestling or jiu-jitsu. Just get them involved in the community and stuff. And
yeah, they do that.
Yeah, I think as long as you're doing that, it's fine.
Yeah, because I like how you were raised. I've obviously listened to a bunch of your stuff. You have like the way you reference your father and lessons. And I just... You know, and that's why I'm just trying to do a good job, because my kids are better people than I am. So it's like, you know, because I have all kinds of shit from my child. So I'm just like, I just want to keep that moving. They're playing violin and...
No, it's not you're doing the right thing. Like I said, you need to be a good role model as a father, which that makes you be like, oh, maybe I should drink less. Maybe I should do less dumb
Dude, that's
shit.
why I changed. I'm like, I don't know what I deserve. You know, I had a weird... I was like kind of nihilistic. I was never like evil. I didn't want to hurt anybody. But I'm like, why not just get hammered and just go home with some chick? You know, I'm like, what do I... And then I'm like, I don't know what I deserve, but that kid deserves, that's an innocent kid. And then I started being like, I can't be drunk if he like cracks his head open, you know? And then I'm like, maybe I should be more responsible. It's like, maybe I should. And then my life started improving because I took responsibility of like being the governor of them. And then I'm like, yeah, I deserve, it's like, why do I think I'm a bad person? Like inside there's a little kid in there, you know?
No, exactly. And it makes you, like you said, it makes you want to do better when you're like, oh shit, they're looking up to me now. You can't be a bad, shitty example, you know, hammered all the time.
Exactly.
Being a jackass. Like, oh, I got to do good shit.
Or lie. Or like I don't have them swear, but you know my principle, there's no bad words, only bad intentions. So I call them weak words, not bad words.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're just weak. They make you sound weaker, but no word is bad. And so same with all of my conspiracies. I don't tell them any of this stuff. I just ask them what they think, and I try and teach them how to think.
Yep. That's exactly what I say. Teach your kids how to think. Don't tell them what to think. Teach them how to think. That's crucial.
Because I don't want to be truth or dad.
No,
that's
they
like,
they should be able to question you even, you know?
100%. And I want that equal footing of like, but dad, you just... And I'm like, you're right, buddy. Like, you're right. Hold me to this, the standard that I hold you.
I couldn't agree more. Too many parents won't let their kids call them out and question them on and stuff. And obviously, you can't let them do it in a disrespectful manner. But I think it's important to let your kids learn to critically think.
Yeah, and it keeps your authority. That's why they listen to me, because I've earned the authority as the leader because I follow my own rules. And that's why I think the system is having an issue, because people don't naturally follow hypocrites. There's a reason to not be a hypocrite, because people are like, well, but dad says not to do something and he does it. So like, why would I? And then you slowly stop, because it's crucial that they listen to me when it matters. You know, right now, all kids are going to listen, but when they're 18, 20, that's when I want them to trust me.
Exactly. You want them to still trust your judgment.
Exactly.
Not be like the Gavin Newsoms being like, stay in, and they're out like at fancy restaurants and we're telling everyone else to stay home. It's complete hypocrite bullshit.
That's why I think a lot of the elite, they have horrible marriages because the wife knows they lie for money, and then the wife doesn't respect them. Because I knew a lot of their wives, I knew these people, you know, and they would just openly talk shit about like the kings of Hollywood. Their wife would be like, oh, he's got no dick.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'm
like
rich
dude,
as fuck, and they hate him, yeah.
They hate him because they know how insecure, full of shit, greedy. You know, the chickens come home to roost, and your wife will know. And that's why I sometimes look at how family treats people. You know, I'm like, oh, you're respected. Okay, cool. That means at home you're not totally different.
No, exactly. It's important to be respected by people close in your life too. You know, if you have people that are around you or you know respect you, that says a lot.
Totally.
If no one around you respects you, that's not a good thing.
Totally. So. It's funny. It's like they say you're like the 5 people you spend the most time with, and 4 of them are like little kids for me. So I'm like, my sense of humor has gotten so much more like silly.
Like little kid stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and I just question stuff, and I'm like,
It's good question and stuff again. That's the conspiracies come in.
Yeah,
that doesn't, that's what you should. Like I said, I don't, you know, a lot of these things you just ask questions. And that's when you start being like, wait, there's holes in this.
Yeah, and I don't like when people, I always get suspicious when they're like, don't ask that. It's one thing if you like say a lie, but if it's like, don't ask that question, I'm like, why?
Yeah, why? You're hiding something.
Just explain it.
Yeah. Any other good conspiracies besides moon landing and pandas?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, tons of them. Helen Keller.
1 or 2 more. Oh, Helen Keller. Is that the blind
deaf lady that wrote books on socialism, feminism, and eugenics?
Yeah, that just sounds like bullshit.
Bro, you go back and you watch those old videos of her. She has a British accent. So they say she hasn't heard or seen anything since she's 6 months old. And she's like, it's not blindness. Like she's talking like
there wouldn't be an accent.
British, and she's from Alabama. Yeah. Like you see that, how they front load victim consciousness, where it's like, you can question me, this big white guy. You know, it's like, go ahead and attack him, but you can't attack a blind deaf lady, right? So she can be like, God is dead and women should be treated. And you're like, oh, I can't say anything. It's just a victim. You know,
kind of like Stephen Hopkins, wasn't he? Like out fucking midgets or something.
Oh, dude. Well, I think he died 50 years ago. I mean, he had a disease that kills you within 5 or 10 years that attacks your brain. And they're like 50 years later, he's the smartest guy in the world who disproved God. I'm like, nobody has any questions.
Yeah, maybe he was just too popular. Like, oh, we need to keep him around.
Yeah, no, he probably had a brand, and they're like, we can use the wheelchair because he's just. And they could just program anything with the robot. And I'm like, why is it an American accent? Isn't he British?
Wasn't he always cheating on his wife too? That kind of shows you.
Yeah.
Guys that are bitching about not being able to get girls because they're too short or something. It's like, this dude's in a wheelchair getting pussy. It's like, come on, stop making excuses.
Totally. It's like, allegedly he banged his nurse. He's like, and And she's like, oh, Steven. Meanwhile, that's why I make fun of all these like white national, they get so mad at me. I'm like,
The ones that aren't having sex.
dude, I'm like, fuck somebody, have a kid. They're like, we're being replaced.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
like,
have more children, exactly.
have kids. They're like, but women suck now. I'm like, dude, just lead them. They're like the easiest people to lead.
People that bitch about women, like women are just going to follow a leader. If you're leading them, they're not going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the bees are getting them because they're like, yo, come with me. I got a car. And they're like, okay. And
Shoot some shit.
Yeah, and the white dudes are like, oh, they just love the bees. I'm like, you won't make eye contact with them. All you do is, video games. And they're like, oh, you hate white people. I'm like, I'm trying to get you to breed.
Right? Trying to give them good advice. But
yeah.
Example of playing the victim.
Dude, total victim. It's like we're being replaced. I'm like, dude, you just F and make a kid.
Mm-hmm. And the whole bitching about women. Of course, there's terrible women out there, but as a whole, they're mostly going to follow their man. If you're leading properly, they're going to follow what you do and say.
And if there's no strong man, they follow the system or the government, which is why they're insane. They're like, according to basically the devil, I have to believe this, this, this. So if you take that position and you pay their bills and all that, because they're getting their bills paid by Satan, so it's like, so they'll like totally change. Like women are more malleable than men. Like you can see a girl, like one boyfriend, she's like a snowboarder. The next boyfriend, she's like, a punk or whatever. They're kind of just going with the community they're in.
No, I think naturally they're designed that way. I think about back in the day, if we took over a city, we're going to take all the women. They're going to have to adapt. It just goes back to their nature, probably.
They're like, I guess I'm a lot like Genghis Khan now.
Right. Oh yeah, I'm in this tribe now.
Yeah.
Oh, these guys aren't so bad.
Exactly. They're like, that's how they get along. And dudes hold the line more, which is why we die more. But it's important.
We get killed if shit's taken over. We wipe
totally.
out.
That's why it matters. That's why there's a feminization of dudes. They're like, let's pull them back. It's like, let's get dudes to think like women and just, that's why these guys, when they're like, but you just don't get along with people. I'm like, but what specific thing? They're like, it doesn't matter. You just upset people. I'm like, but what thing though? Because their thing is like, you should just get along with people no matter what. I'm like, but what point? Like I was holding the line and they're like, just say what they want you to and people will like you. I'm like a girl?
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, dude, then there's no point for dudes. It's like, what's my role? I just like.
No, we never should pretend to believe shit we don't. That's what I can't stand. Like you said earlier, like, yeah, sure, I'm not going to bash a sponsor, but I'm not going to like pretend like a little 7-year-old boy is a girl, or I'm not going to pretend like, massacring civilians in Gaza is okay.
Exactly,
I'm not going to like go along with this bullshit, or I'm not going to put a mask on my face and go along with it.
Yeah, and I have no problem with people making tons of money, having sponsorships. Just don't, selling out to me is like changing your core beliefs and speaking them out loud for money.
Exactly.
But if you have a good sponsor, go for it,
Yeah, no, it's not the same as selling yourself out. Like, oh yeah, the sponsor, especially something you don't hate. Now, if it's something you hate, I'm not going to take the sponsor. But if it's something that's like, okay, yeah, you're at least not bash it. That makes sense.
100%. Yeah, especially if they're just putting signage around. I'm like, go ahead. But if they're like, listen, can you like no longer be funny? But we'll give you millions of dollars. I'm like, if I'm not funny, then what the hell am I? I have no point. You just put me out the pasture.
Yeah, there's some things that go above money, and a lot of people don't look at life that way.
Dude, and especially with a farm guy, I'm like, I see the patterns with farming animals. Castrating a dude to take their balls. I'm like, just say they're brave and beautiful, And then like, you give them like porn and corn syrup, like the grain. They go in, you put them in debt. You take their children's future. You have them have a bad relationship with the dog, like, oh, he's trying to hurt you, your lives matter. It's all just how to manage animals. And so I'm like, if I don't want to be an animal, I can't eat the grain. And that's like why I can come across as paranoid. People are like, just do it. I'm like, dude, if I eat the grain, then this happens and this happens and this happens. And I get why people think that about me, but I've just been through a lot of shit.
Yeah, you seem pretty friendly to me, unless we get in a huge blowout next week.
No, I know. People say it all the time. They're like, don't you know if you talk to Owen Benjamin, he's going to go effing nuts. I'm like, name who? They're like, oh, too many to name. I'm like Alex Jones when he said I was toxic because I criticized and he banned me from his show just because I criticized his once.
Yeah, that's a little weird, Alex Jones.
And I buried the hatchet with him.
Yeah. Was this recently or a while ago?
No, it was a while ago. Yeah. And, people just make a list. I'm like, ooh, Jordan Peterson. I'm like, when I pointed out, I'm like, who that's cool did I ever just feud with?
Yeah. Jordan Peterson's a total sellout.
Dude, totally. And I don't need to like dig up any stuff, but people never give examples. They're like, oh, he'll go totally nuts. I'm like, but who though? Like, and then they'll list somebody else. I'm like, He literally did a show about how I'm unhinged, blah, blah, blah. I won't even say, but there's a dude where I tracked, and a lot of it has to do with it. It's like I tracked the hormone of trans hormones. Teva Pharmaceuticals was out of Israel. And I'm like linked up with this conservative dude who's all about trans kids, ending that. And I'm like, Teva Pharmaceuticals. And he's like, no, we can't touch that. And I'm like, no, that's where we have to talk about because we actually care about this shit. And so then they like do this narrative that I'm insane. And I'm like, I don't like, you know, I got along with everyone until I was like 37. I played sports. I'm like all about hierarchy. I'm like team leader. Great. You know, I have a very powerful older brother. I love being second fiddle. I'm like, he's got the plan, dude. Let's crush. But if someone's going to sell out everything for money, I just got kind of sick of it. I'm like,
yeah, seeing the thing on the right has been insane. I didn't realize how bad it was until after October 7th. They're all just saying whatever Israel tells them.
yeah,
Like, you can't bring up the pharmaceuticals. You
Nothing.
Can't. Alex Jones even won't criticize him. You see old videos, he was, but now it's like something obviously, I don't know what it is, but something's changed.
yeah. And if someone wants to do that, that's fine. But then don't be like this big truth guy saving the kids. I'm like, if you want to be a sheep, do it. You know, we need wool. I mean, just go for it. Appreciate the system. But if you're going to be like, I'm saving the kids, and I'm like, but you won't even call out. Because again, it was like the Hollywood thing. For me, it wasn't even Israel. I'm like, Teva Pharmaceuticals. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, it's out of Israel. And
that's
the funding.
anti-Semitic. Yeah. And you're like, what?
Yeah, that's
I'm
why.
just calling out what I see. I'm just noticing patterns.
Yeah, totally. And that's why I just try to build. That's why I did this special. Because I'm like, whatever I criticize, I'm going to build an alternative, even if it's small. Like Beartaria Times social media. It's like, I think, you know, social media sucks and it's degenerate. I'm like, all right, we'll build one that's clean, even if it's small. And we did.
Yeah. Well, even like a podcast. I'm like, I don't like most of the podcasts. Maybe I'll start one.
Dude,
you got to do
awesome.
shit. If you don't like what's out there, do something different.
Exactly. And it's kind of like when people said that stuff to you about me. It's like, well, if that happens, I'll crush them. Yeah. You know, you're not afraid.
No, exactly.
And I relate to people that aren't afraid.
If we get in a fight on Twitter, who cares? We'll both survive. It'd probably be pretty funny.
I was talking to somebody, and the odds are almost zero. I like respect,
I get along with you,
strong
but I think
guys.
I don't, exactly, not something I'd be worried about.
Dude, I've had
I get in a fight on Twitter. Oh no, how will I survive?
Dude, I've had the same friends since I was 5. It's like a few media shills I've had big feuds with, and then the narrative is, oh, Owen just doesn't get along with anyone. I'm like, you mean like all my friends?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and why does a comedian have to get along with everybody? I'm like, aren't I supposed to be like kind of a dick and a little crazy?
I feel like comedians should be pushing the edges of things.
Totally,
like
dude.
Asking questions you're not supposed to, and most of them aren't doing that nowadays.
Because now they're all scared.
Yeah, the woke comedy. It's gotten maybe a little bit better, but you still see a lot of them are scared.
There's fear. Yeah, and one thing that they do is they'll do one of my bits, and then they like slam me in case I call it out.
Like they steal some of your shit, or
oh yeah, like the Chappelle, like what Ye called out on Alex Jones, when he's like, Dave Chappelle steals from Owen Benjamin. You remember that?
Did he say that? I don't know.
When he was wearing that mask.
That? Oh yeah. I remember the mask. Remember the mask.
Yeah, if you put it side by side, Chappelle's Caitlyn Jenner Woman of the Year hasn't been a woman for a full year, and then it started with the L's, and then you got the G's, and then the B's. The B's will fuck anybody. Anybody, dude, they are disgusting. Like the whole thing I did 5 years before.
And then he ripped it off.
Yeah, he does it word for word. And then I think what happens is they're like, okay, talk a lot of shit in case he says anything. And it could have been a writer. It might not even be Dave. I'm not even pointing fingers.
Good chance he doesn't even know exactly right.
Totally. It's kind of like if a dude, let's say a dude gets caught cheating on his girl by one of her friends. And it's like, oh shit, she might tell my girl. And then the dude goes home. He's like, yo, Becky's like a bitch. I just saw her cheating. You know, that way if she says anything, like they've already, you know, and that's why I'm trying to not engage as much. I'm just like, I can just go scorched earth, but I try not to now.
Yeah, when you go, you just let loose.
Oh yeah, and I usually just make fun of them. And then they're like, oh, he's attacking. And I'm like, I'm criticizing you for having a soy trans voice. Like, how is that attacking? You know what I mean?
Yeah, survive, get over it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, different subject. Did you ever find out who stole your bike?
I have it down to 3 suspects. Oh, speaking of Brian, what's that dude's name? Bryson Gray. You know Bryson Gray?
Yeah. Did he steal your bike?
No, but he was one of the only guys that was super funny about it. He posted a picture of a little girl's bike. And he was like, yo, Owen, I got your bike. And it was a girl's. And I was like, bro, thank you for just being funny.
Yeah, I like Bryson. He's like super conservative, religious, but hung out with him a couple times. And even though we don't agree with a lot of stuff, I respect it because he always says his real opinions.
Dude, I don't have any friends that I agree with on everything, or else like I think they're like mimicking me. Like I don't agree with myself sometimes.
Exactly. But I like people that you know are real. And like Bryson's always saying,
Bryson's,
he's saying his real opinions, which is nice.
Bro, I got a funny story for you about the bike with Bryson. So
it was a black guy that sold your bike though, correct?
Allegedly. I mean, that could have come from my own preconceptions, but there is one, he's unalived himself, so I can't like interrogate him. I think it was a B.
Probably.
Because they had to get it out of the town, and they were the only ones. I mean, I have a whole rundown. It was on my birthday in 1991. So Bryson's saying something. I'm just making fun of him like I can do.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. And I'm like, yo, you stole my bike. And he's starting to react, and we start fighting, but I'm like kind of doing a bit, but we actually start fighting. And then the next day I do a stream where it has my blue dyno, and it says, never forget, May 24th, 1991. Okay, so Bryson starts tweeting at me. He's like, dude, Owen Benjamin's like a psychopath. Like, this dude's legit crazy. And I'm like, you steal my bike, you're good. Dude, and then we do a stream together, because I'm like, we got to settle this. That's his birthday. He thought I made this shirt
for his birthday.
I'm like, dude, no, that's my birthday, because we had the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
And my bike was stolen the year and day he was born. And then I get all like meta. I'm like, bro, do you think you were created because that dude stole my bike? And he's like, bro, that's way too heavy for me.
Way too deep.
Yeah. And so that was a funny, but I've been doing the same bike bit, and I'll never stop. And people get pissed. They're like, dude, you got to bail on the bike bit. You're like, it's so old. Yeah. And I do the same joke over and over. I'm like, I don't know. Repetition makes me laugh.
Yeah, sometimes you do something so much it become funny.
Dude, I'll do the same joke for 3 weeks. Like I made fun of India for like a month until India was calling Elon Musk for my arrest. And I was like, but it's funnier the longer you go and the more it's just so stupid about like street shitting.
Yeah, I kind of missed the India thing, but remember there was like a month on Twitter when just everyone was just making fun of India and all the poop, and I'm like, I kind of missed this, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, and I was like,
laughing.
I was so early on that they didn't have like a shield up yet.
I think they were going after and mass reporting people and getting them taken down, right?
Yeah, but I was so early that they didn't know what to do, so they're like, I'm getting texts on my phone like, buddy, we know what you are. I geo-tracked you, buddy. And I'm like, dude, I mean, why can't you just use a toilet? And then the Maldives tweets me. They're like, you're always welcome in the Maldives. We've been pissed off about Indians for a long time.
Well, you have a country after you.
It was a whole international
I think they
incident.
banned the Jays, though. Can you go in? Or no, it's just his.
Yeah, no, it's a behavior. You have to follow protocols. Yeah. So it's like.
Is that the place to ban them? I think it is.
Well, they're very Muslim. So they're like, Muslims a lot of times are just like really into the rules. They're like, don't shit in the street, Makes sense. And so, and the Pakistanis are like, think I'm on their side. And I'm just starting to I'm like, you know what? I've done my job. And then I'm like out as fast as I started. They're like, oh, Owen Benjamin, the India jokes. He hates India. My Wikipedia changes to Indiophobic. And then I just bail. I'm like, I'm sick of it. After 3 weeks, I get sick of a joke, but 3 weeks, I'm going hard.
Yeah, and that's probably when it picked up everywhere else. Remember, everyone was going to India for a minute.
Going hard, yeah, because there's so many immigrants, and they like, no one talks about it. They always say Mexicans. I'm like, dude, there's more Indians, and they make so much cash. I'm like, you don't want to make fun of them?
Yeah, sure, they're the ones taking the good jobs, not the shitty jobs.
Yeah, and so many of the scams, like so many of the dudes getting ripped off on the phone are all like Indian call centers.
Do you ever get like some chick who'll be like, hey, you remember me? And it's clearly a scam. It's like a picture of an Asian chick. That's probably really an Indian.
Dude, 100%.
I can't remember the guy. Like, what kind of guy is going to follow for that? Like, hey, you remember me? This is like Susie. And they send a picture. And like thinking some guy must fall for this. Sometimes I'll just start texting him, just like fuck with him for a while.
It's like, is this still your number? Like, I'm so paranoid. I delete everything. But like, I can picture that dude being like, oh man, this is
You're
exciting.
Looking like, damn, do I remember her? I'm trying to remember where I met her.
And my first thought is, I'm like, is this AI, Mossad, or India?
Could be any of them.
Totally. But then if you're just lonely, you just start talking to them. I try to see if they're AI by figuring out like what questions to ask to see if they have to become a human being. Like they have to get a manager.
Yeah, argue with them sometimes, but if they're AI, that makes it boring. So I don't want to be arguing with a fake person. I just like fuck with them for people. But I do argue with AI sometimes too.
I argue with AI all the
Yeah,
time.
they calling a liar, and sometimes they admit they lie too. They're like, "You're correct. I didn't intend to lie. And now that you give me new information, like, God, you're such a fucking lying rat." I don't think my AI likes me very much.
Dude, you're just talking shit to AI.
Because it lies to me all the time, and you'll catch it lying, and it'll try like backtracking and being like, "Oh, well, I didn't realize that information." Like, you're fucking.
It's like, I don't trust you anymore, AI. I'm
No.
gonna put you in the toilet.
Yeah, we're not in good terms right now.
Remember when that movie Her came out?
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't think it was anything. I'm like, this movie's stupid. So predictive.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dudes are just going to be talking to AI like it's their girlfriend.
Yeah, we're not far from that. I mean, guys probably already are. They probably already have AI girlfriends.
Dude, they can do AI porn. Like they can make it so you think it's a real girl talking to you, and they're just pulling all this money out of people.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the like the OnlyFans girls use AI.
100%.
So guys think, I know friends have some of the agencies, so guys think they're like talking to chicks and it's just AI. Technically, that's probably fraud, but they get away with it. And if guys are dumb enough to do that, I mean, it's kind of on them.
Yeah, and it's almost less damaging than an actual woman. So it's
True. They're talking to a robot and think they're talking to a chick.
Just pulling money out of a pervert's wallet instead of like having a real woman have to do all that shit.
Yeah. Also, a lot of guys take the job where they pretend like they're the women. It's so weird.
Dude, it's so weird, bro.
I can imagine like you're pretending like you're hey, show me a picture of your dick. It's like, what the hell?
It's like, I want you to treat me like, yeah, because like whenever I've been in an acting role, like, dude, after a few days, you start almost, you know, like I did a movie once where I kept marrying the same girl over and over again, and then we just started dating.
Yeah, it's like you already married a bunch of times. You might as well.
If you're in character, like talking dirty to a dude,
oh yeah, I can't.
You got like 3 hours before you start getting
basically gay. Yeah,
yeah, because you start thinking that way. It patterns your brain.
Yeah, if you're doing that all day long, a lot of times they're pretending like they're the same girl. That's got to be weird.
Just all day long, and they're getting like super deep into the psychology of it.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, how do I get money out of the guys? Yeah, what a
it's
a job I'd pass on.
You ever see that South Park where they did that, where they went undercover, like the cop was like, oh, he was like trying to get the pimp arrested, and he just becomes a gay
I don't
prostitute.
think I've seen that one, but
he's like, what's the guy's? He's like, oh, Tyrone, yeah. And the cops are about to arrest him, and he just fully has sex with him, and then does it for 20 years, and then arrests him.
Yes, you gotta watch what you pretend.
Just, dude, 100%. Watch what you pretend, man. I think lying gives you dementia, and that's one reason why I'm terrified of lying, because your brain, you can only trick yourself so long until you're like, I don't know what reality is, and I'm now crazy, and so.
No, that's why I try to always say my real opinions, not
Me
be fucking
too.
fake.
Me too.
And that makes us disagreeable.
Yeah. And like, again, I'm trying to figure it out. Like that was one of the bits in my special about like trying to figure out how to not sound so disagreeable. Like I want people to like me.
But yeah, I mean,
but I'm not going to
like me. But sometimes it's hard when you say things you're just not supposed to. But if people are talking about things they don't agree, I'm not going to like pretend like I agree with them. Yeah,
and I'm not like a middle school teacher. I'm like a club comedian. You know, I used to be a heckler at a Renaissance fair where people threw tomatoes at my face. I'm like, since when are comedians a bunch of pussies? Where it's like, he's attacking me. You know,
I'm sure you get it too, right? Friends like, you're not supposed to say that with groups. Like, I'm gonna say my real opinions. I'm not gonna pretend to believe some bullshit I don't.
Dude, I would have been a lawyer if I wanted to lie for money. Like I'm good at public speaking. Like I did shows in nightclubs for $50 because I like that raw, honest shit talking. And then they want to take it away. It's like, oh, you got to get along with more comedians. I'm like, you guys are gay.
Yeah, they're hard to get along with when they're telling you to get vaccines and masks.
Yeah, and they won't do the jokes.
Yeah, there's definitely some cool comedians too, but
dude, great comedians. Yeah, I could list a bunch that make me laugh really hard. I mean, like Mark Norman's a great joke writer. Shane Gillis has great stage presence. Lewis is like building his own shit. There's all kinds of ones that are cool. I mean, there's a ton that aren't even famous that are like just on TikTok and shit.
Is there any comedy scene in Idaho?
Idaho,
not, right?
None. And I told myself I wouldn't start one because when I was in the last town I was in where my brother lived, I did a show, like I did a special, How Dare Me, which is at owenbenjamin.com or unauthorized.tv. And it was at the city hall and there was like 800 people, I think. And the whole town is like 2,000 people.
Damn.
And so after that, I think I triggered a response from the political groups because they're like, this fucking guy can swing any election. But I didn't want to at all.
So it makes you too noticeable, yeah.
Yeah, and so then I was bringing heat to all my friends and family, and I'm like, okay, Amy, like, wherever we settle down, I'm not doing stand-up. And so I got more into, like, cheese making and shit.
That makes sense. In your community, you don't want to stand out too much. Just kind of fit in and be normal.
Yeah, because it's even, like, people assume you want certain powers that I do not want. I'm like, I don't care about politics. I'm never running. I'm not going to, But it's like, they're like, but you can though. Like you could affect the entire thing. And I'm like, that's why LA works better in New York, because it's like, you can't sway shit. It's so huge.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to be important in LA or New York.
Exactly.
You got to be really big. And even then, you're still not changing that much.
Yeah, and Austin's growing now as this big comedy mecca. And I just think, the new special is in a hayfield in Missouri. I'm like, wherever you can be funny and people want to laugh.
Yeah, no one's probably done that before.
I don't think so.
At least
But I was backed into it.
I know of. Yeah, you're like,
I was backed into it. I wanted to do theaters, but they're like, dude, it's crazy how cartel-y it is. Because I'm like, it's America. It's free market. I can sell it out. No big deal. Once that word goes out, once people just send a Wikipedia article, every single one would cancel me. I'd like book it a week out, cancel. I'd have to reschedule for like a children's library. And that's what kind of made me closer to my audience, because, they're like, yo, you could use my warehouse.
You got to adapt. It's crazy how like they put things in Wikipedia and people would just cancel you and believe what they read.
Oh, dude, my Wikipedia is hilarious.
Probably says all kinds of crazy things.
Crazy, yeah, but also kind of funny, because they don't get the joke.
Yeah,
they're like, he called Barack Obama a hard N, and I'm like, he stole my bike. But when you got a guy that killed millions of people for money, I'm like, why can't you? He literally bombed Libya for like 8 years.
Completely destroyed that country.
Yeah, it's like he brought back actual slavery because of the financial system, but I can't call him a name.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, and so, but it only just makes your audience funnier.
No, I agree. Makes your audience appreciate you. So yeah, before we wrap up, anything else you wanted to talk about, or?
Just thanks for having me, bro. Thanks for not bailing on the whisper campaign.
I don't care about the online hate. I thought it was hilarious. People were like, "Oh, don't bring him on." I'm like, I think it's funny.
Yeah,
I'll talk to whoever I want to talk to. I'm not going to let people tell me who I can and can't talk to.
Dude, you're one of the only people where I'm like, dude, no one's ever written my name on a bomb. I'm like, that dude's had way more shit. I'm like, I'm not allowed on Airbnb. That dude's got like people write his name on
threats, but
I
think
know.
go to Airbnb at least.
Yeah, mine's more softer. Right. Yours is more like.
I still have Uber and Airbnb, so.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it was just my income, but yeah, just our own streaming platform that I had to build. Again, I didn't want to. I didn't want to compete, but it's like I'm not going to quit comedy. I'm like fucking obsessive about it. Unauthorized.tv. It's the Feed the Bear subscription. Yeah, and P.O. Box 490, Sandpoint, Idaho, 83864. The mail has never kicked me off. The great postal service, Ben Franklin.
Still got that.
Yeah, and then OwenBenjamin.com, Must Be Nice, new special, actual entertainment outside of Hollywood. And it's clean, but yet it's provocative. There's like jokes that'll push buttons, but there's no swearing, like kids could watch it.
Trying to be a little cleaner, but still push boundaries.
Yeah, and I had to be cleaner because there's kids running in because there's like 1,000 people camping with their families. So I'm like, no kids, I want to be able to go hard. And they're always going to be kids. So I'm like, I'm not going to do gross stuff in front of kids. So it challenged me to escalate,
Yeah, cut out the words, but yeah, you still push boundaries.
I still got the boundaries there.
Yeah. And your Twitter is Owen Benjamin? Or?
Owen Benjamin, yeah. And if you read it in my voice, remember this voice.
Yes, we know when you're serious versus when you're not.
Yeah, like just read it like this. Like I'm not ever like starting a giant war. I'm like playful,
Cool. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks, man. You're the man. Cheers.